People aren't always honest, even if it's not on purpose. They often present themselves in a way catered to those around them. In other words, they put on layers to hide their perceived flaws. These layers act as armor, protecting people from the cruelty of others. This armor, once worn for too long, the weight becomes more noticeable, weighing people down from being themselves. Hi, my name is Srivatsa Vadlamani, and I'll be sharing my own experiences with these false layers of armor. 1.5 years ago, I moved to North Carolina. After living in New Jersey for my entire life, this was a big moment. Everything changed, but I initially stayed constant. I was used to my home, not North Carolina. That was a problem. I had to change. I didn't stay true to myself. I became quiet. I didn't feel like I belonged. Just a year before that, in 6th grade, I was a loud and outgoing 6th grader. I didn't care what people thought of me. I was hard to digest, and I loved that. On April 8th, 2024, a solar eclipse occurred. The thing is, this is the only total solar eclipse to occur in the United States until 2044. But I was attending the 2024 New Jersey FBLA State Leadership Conference on that very day. This was a devastating coincidence. Obviously, no one was allowed to go outside and view the eclipse because FBLA didn't want 1,000 lawsuits from angry parents complaining about their blinded children. I would have just given up and waited 20 years to view another eclipse. But I didn't wear armor back then. At a workshop hosted at the conference, students were able to practice their public speaking skills by giving speeches in front of a crowd. This happened to give students a platform to voice their opinions on. I obviously volunteered. I went up to the stage and spread my message. Even though it's been over 2 years since that day, I still remember what I began my speech with. I would like to watch the moon, the sun. After my speech, the advisors promptly took my mic away. They then reminded students not to view the eclipse. Later that year, I moved to North Carolina, where I wore my armor for the first time. This armor shielded me from the cruelty of others. As 7th grade progressed, this armor that I was so used to weighing me down lightened. I felt comfortable being myself. More of my peers accepted me for who I was, but still didn't feel like home. No matter what, all things must come to an end. I finished that school year, and that's when I came to Carnage. Something about this school made me feel like me. Maybe it was because I wasn't the only Indian nerd, but who knows? I just felt comfortable being myself. Like the passionate orator I was in 6th grade, I didn't need to wear armor. This story, my story, is a perfect example of these emotional layers. I was a loud and outgoing 6th grader, but in 7th grade, I became embarrassed by who I was. So I built these layers around myself. Why did I build those layers, really? Well, in order to understand that, we need to look at the Big Five theory. Your personality can be broken down into 5 key components. Neuroticism, your emotional stability or vulnerability. Extroversion, your desire for attention. Agreeableness, your compassion. Conscientiousness, your self-control and discipline. And openness, your curiosity and open-mindedness. For example, a person with a low measure of extroversion is most likely an introvert, as they avoid attention and may even become reserved. Together, these 5 aspects of your personality determine who you are as a person, how people perceive you, and whether or not you wear armor. I believe that neuroticism and extroversion are the most important aspects that determine whether or not you wear armor. Neuroticism. It serves as the main reason why people put on armor. When people score high in this category, they are more emotionally vulnerable. Let's say a highly neurotic person lost their job. Every negative thought snowballs into this avalanche of mental distraught. Where will I work now? Will I get hired again? How will I pay the bills? How will I feed myself? A person would change after asking themselves those questions. they would put on some armor in order to create a new layer in between them and reality and distract themselves from those questions. Additionally, they would be less outgoing. Speaking of which, extroversion. It serves as the weight of the armor. When people score low in this category, they're more likely to be introverted. They don't desire attention and become more reserved. Now, this isn't inherently negative, but when combined with the other aspects of the Big Five theory, can lead to detrimental effects, such as internalizing emotions. So, high neuroticism and low extroversion are not the best combination. Every question forces you to put on some armor to avoid more of the same. After a while, this armor begins to weigh you down, so much so that you can't get up and ask for help. One creates internal doubt and worry, while the other, in your time of need, keeps you away from the people who can help you. This cycle of emotional self-harm and internalization repeats until it stops. Until you realize this armor is harming you, or until you realize that you need to break out of these layers. Armor may protect you, but it weighs you down. You don't have to tear it all off at once, and you don't have to be fearless, as long as you're honest. Honest with yourselves about the layers you've built, and honest with others when you're ready. And if you see someone else weighed down by armor of their own, be the person who reaches through it. Because the moment we stop hiding inside of our armor, inside of our layers, is the moment we start being ourselves and living our lives.